What's up, everyone? Chris Yandel here for Channelfireball.com, and welcome to another edition of Audio Articles, where we bring you articles written by the top Magic the Gathering pros in audio form, Monday through Friday, so you can listen on the go wherever and whenever you want for free. If you have a little more time and you don't want to just listen, head over to YouTube and search for Channel Fireball and ring the bell next to the subscribe button to get access to all the videos that we're uploading just for you to watch. GPVEGAS is this weekend, so make sure to head over to CFBEvents.com so you can pre-register for the event, get your deck list ready so you can battle on Saturday and Sunday. Today's article is written by Burkart. Corey's going to talk about the deck that he took to Grand Prix Toronto and the one he's going to take to Grand Prix Las Vegas. Thanks for joining us today, and here is Grixis at Grand Prix Toronto and for Grand Prix Las Vegas by Burkart. I don't make this claim often enough, but Grixis control is great right now. What? You mean a pro Magic player chose to play a deck they don't think is the best? All the time. When it comes to Modern, I really find that the format rewards great sideboarding, intricate knowledge of the matchups, and above all, playing Snapcaster Mage. But now, Grixis control is quickly becoming the best choice for your next Modern tournament. Today I'm going to discuss that, share a little bit about my experience at GP Toronto, a team GP where my lovely teammates allowed me to play Modern, and explain a little bit about the direction on the format. The first thing that you want to understand about Magic is that when things are balanced, formats are cyclical. If there are answers to the quote-unquote best deck, people are going to play them to beat that deck until people stop playing it. Going into Grand Prix Toronto, the best two decks were Hollow One and Humans. Thus, the card to pick up in popularity was Path to Exile, as it answers every threat in both decks. Exiling is an important clause in potentially both matchups because of the graveyard component of Hollow One and Xanthrid Necromancer from Humans. As the decks that play Path to Exile pick up in popularity, so will their natural predators, Scapeshift, Tron, etc. This keeps the format churning, as then we see decks like Affinity and Infect crop up to best those. Right now, we're between the shift from Humans' dominance to the Path to Exile decks that defeat it. Grixis fits in between these two decks flawlessly. Grixis has the tools to dismantle Humans while also beating its predators, thanks to Black Discard and better removal in the form of Push and Terminate. Jeskai is the first deck that comes to mind when I think of the deck I want to play to defeat Humans and Hollow One. The new Jeskai decks lean on Teferi, Hero of Dominaria as their top-end threat to defeat other mid-range decks. Against other mid-range blue decks, this is the exact card I don't want to be playing. Don't get me wrong, Teferi is an extremely powerful card, especially in a format where you get to untap 2 lands and have Logic Knot, Path to Exile, Lightning Helix, Lightning Bolt, and Negate to cast, but that's not what's important in these control mirrors. In the control mirrors, what truly matters is not tapping out on your main phase, because if you do, it allows your opponent to play their Haymaker spell. In a control mirror with counterspells, you don't want to be the first to spend your mana. If you spend your mana on your turn and your opponent counters your spell, they now have the ability to untap and play the most expensive spell from their hand without fear that their spell will be countered. Functionally, this is like playing 2 spells in a turn because you get to spend most or all of your mana on back-to-back turns. Thus, the way that I like to approach my threats has changed in the past few years of Magic. I want to find the cheapest threats that answer the problems I'm looking to address, but ones that aren't quote-unquote liabilities in control mirrors. This concept ranges in importance. Right now, when I expect Jeskai, Abzan, Mardu, and Esper to pick up in popularity, I don't want to risk spending 4 to 5 mana at sorcery speed when I could spend 1 to 3 mana and hold up Logic Knot, Counter Squall, or Mana Leak. When the format circles back around to cheap linear decks like Affinity, Infect, Bogles, and Burn, this will be less important, but it'll still be something to be aware of. With all this in mind, what did I play at GP Toronto, and how did the deck do? I registered the following. Grixis. For lands, 4 Field of Ruin, 4 Scalding Tarn, 4 Polluted Delta, 1 Sulphur Falls, 2 Steam Vents, 2 Watery Grave, 1 Blood Crypt, 2 Creeping Tar Pit, 3 Island, 1 Swamp, and 1 Mountain. For creatures, 1 Young Pyromancer, 4 Snapcaster Mage, and 2 Tasker the Golden Fang. For spells, 4 Thought Scour, 1 Inquisition of Kozilek, 1 Spell Snare, 4 Lightning Bolt, 2 Fatal Push, 1 Dismember, 2 Search for Escanta, 1 Counter Squall, 2 Logic Knot, 1 Terminate, 1 Engineered Explosives, 4 Call Against Command, and 4 Cryptic Command. And in the sideboard, 2 Ceremonious Rejection, 1 Young Pyromancer, 2 Anger of the Gods, 1 Collective Brutality, 1 Izzet Staticaster, 1 Counter Squall, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 1 Dispel, 1 Damnation, and 3 Surgical Extraction. This deck was great for me. I lost a close opening match to Hollow One 1-2, and after that, I went on a rampage. Round 1, Hollow One, I lost 1-2. Round 2, Humans 2-0. Round 3, Tron 2-1. Round 4, Lantern Control 2-1. Round 5, Jeskai 2-1. Round 6, Storm 2-0. Round 7, Bogles 2-0. And round 8, Humans 2-1. A lot of these matchups were close, but one thing remained constant for me. I was really happy with Young Pyromancer. Young Pyromancer was one of the cards on my short list to address the problem of Hollow One. It makes small chump blockers that can block the Anglers and the Hollow Ones, and casting these spells gets you closer to your game plan of turning the corner, tapping their team a few times with Cryptic Command, and closing the game out. It also really does work against Liliana the Veil. Tasigur often gets picked off, as you want to play it on turns 4 to 5, and a crafty Jund player will hold their Liliana for the first creature. Young Pyromancer also excels in spots I didn't expect it to against Humans and Control. Humans isn't known for their large creatures, but they can certainly make some thanks to Champion of the Parish and Thalia's Lieutenant. Against these, you can reasonably chump block with some of your elemental friends as you develop your mana, kill any Ether Vials and Caverner's Souls, and go back to countering all their flyers that you might lose to. The amount of time that Young Pyromancer gave me over the tournament was uncharted territory. In my final match, it allowed me to turn the corner going into turns against a human player where I thought I was dead at 1 life against their 5 creatures. I managed to chain a Thought Scour into a Snapcaster to survive their first turn. Then on the next 2 turns, I was able to cast enough spells to make tokens, remove all their blockers, and tap their team with Cryptic Command to deal barely over lethal damage. No other card I've played at a premier level event could have won that match. Damnation would have gotten me a draw. Pia wouldn't have been enough because of the mana cost. Keranos wouldn't have allowed me to survive, but Young Pyromancer, it did the heavy lifting that day and allowed me to leave one of the most exciting matches I've played since Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan victorious and with jitters. I'm going to be playing in Grand Prix Las Vegas, and I'm likely going to register something very similar to the deck list we just talked about. If you want to do well at one of the biggest events of the year, get practicing now with the deck. It's highly rewarding, the games are fun to play, and above all, you're playing some of the best spells and creatures printed in the last 10 years of Magic. What's not to love? Bonus section. Here's a list of cards that I get asked about a lot on social media. Do you like this card? Why not, etc. Keranos. It's good in slow, grindy metagames. When Jund, Mardu, and Black-Green are the best decks, this card is great. Otherwise, it's hard to cast at 5 mana and can be answered somewhat easily by things like Celestial Purge and Path to Exile. Vendilion Click. Metagames light on cheap removal. I don't like turning on the enemy's main deck removal. As such, I think Click is a better sideboard card, but this card can be really potent against the combo decks, Scapeshift, Storm, Tron, Lantern, etc. Liliana the Last Hope. Great in a field of small creatures. I was going to play this one before I jumped on board with Young Pyromancer. She's excellent in grindy metagames where you want to have non-creature threats or don't expect your enemy to have creatures, Scapeshift, Jeskai, Esper, Grixis, etc. Electrolyze. Mostly a worse Kolaghan's command. Every time I think about this card, I think it's better than it plays out. If Lingering Souls were defining the metagame and there were tons of 1-toughness creatures, I could get on board because unlike Staticaster, it's not dead against control. Kalidas. Best against creatures with when this dies abilities and when your life total is relevant. You need to be sure in the matchup that you can also tap out for a 4-mana spell, which is tricky when your life total also matters. Hollow One, Court of Calling / Company decks, Green-White Hate Bears, etc. Thanks for listening, and I hope I get to meet a lot of you guys at GP Las Vegas. That does it for this episode of Audio Articles. Make sure to head over to channelfireball.com and leave Corey a comment about what you thought about today's article, or you can hit him up on Twitter at Corey_Burkart. Also, if you're at GP Vegas this weekend, make sure you find Corey, tell him what you thought about the article, and just say hi. Also, make sure to check out CFBEvents.com. You'll find all the information about the upcoming GPs there. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us today, and I hope to see you soon. And until then, peace.